ahead and we're going to get this updated for game number 2. Get that updated there. And the matchup for game number 2, as I mentioned earlier, will be Matt Sokol playing Agents of the Black Sun against Tom Kelly playing Old Allies. Tom did confirm that his Old Allies deck is card for card the same deck as what Kyle Kruger used in round 1 against Matt. So we'll see how this game unfolds and see if it unfolds a little differently. Talking to Tom, he does not seem very confident about the matchup. But by winning by 17 in the first game, that, even if he loses the game, he might still be able to keep it close enough. So we'll see how this pans out here in just a few minutes. They're both going to grab some drinks and head up to the bathroom, and then we'll be back in about 5 minutes to stream game 2 of the finals. Right, so the players are getting situated here. We're getting game number 2 underway. Now that the players are seated, I can tell you a little bit more about that matchup in the first game between Matt Sokol and Kyle Kruger. As we get hopefully connected here for the stream in just a second. All right, so we're reconnected there. So, in game 1 between Matt Sokol and Kyle Kruger, in round 1 rather, Matt was able to win this game pretty solidly. Matt has a copy of Suns Down, Too Cold for Speeders in his deck, which is what he used to put on Jakku, and then used P59 and Dengar Blaster Carbine to shoot the Falcon and Kyle's vehicles. Kyle and Tom did anticipate this matchup. Matt did play this deck yesterday, and they did see him using that yesterday. And they did add a copy of I Have a Bad Feeling About This from Dagobah, which Kyle did not have at the time all that happened, but he could have used the interrupt to move the Suns Down, Too Cold for Speeders from Jakku over to Coruscant, which would protect his ships. Now the counter to that is that Matt plays Sense in his Dark Side deck. So I think it's kind of gonna be what we're gonna see here. Matt's gonna wait to use 2 Suns Down, 2 Gold for Speeders until he's got a Sense in his hand, or possibly 2, because there's always the possibility that Tom may have a Control Tunnel Vision to cancel the Sense. And then Matt will play that. He'll try and shoot the speeders and go from there. It's also possible that Tom may flip his objective and not deploy all his speeders to Jakku, and might possibly try and play a little on the Coruscant sites. So there's some different in-game strategies that they may do, knowing, and Matt knows that Tom knows that that's how he won his game. And knows that he's going to use the card, and Matt's going to obviously hold the Sense to try and protect that, and Tom knows that Matt knows exactly what he's going to do. So this is a good back and forth chess match between 2 great players. So of course, for those of you unfamiliar, Matt Sokol, the 2000 world champion, has made the top 8 of several events in the last few years. Match play championship a couple years ago, the 2015 World Championships. He was actually in the final 4 of the World Championships in 2015. He's talked about taking a break from the game for a little while, but perhaps I don't know. I don't know if a second place finish or a first place finish here might change his mind on that. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. As far as the game goes, beginning here, Matt went ahead. He used the Coruscant site to pull the Vigo out of his reserve deck. Used the Vigo to get a Coruscant location, to get the Palace. He used the Palace to get the uplink station out of his deck, and the Vigo and the Prince move over for free, flipping his objective. Double check the old allies objective, because I know obviously it interacts and it changes things a bit to work with Rey as opposed to Luke. I think it just targets her instead. So if Tom gets Rey out and gets Rey in the speeder, that may flip him back to the 0 side. I think that's how that works. Yeah, targets Rey instead of Luke. So we'll see how quickly Tom can get Rey out. He did just pull her sight, so it's pretty likely that he'll be getting Rey soon and get her in that Falcon. But he may not do it turn 1 though, depending on what he's got in his hand. Matt did the 12 card start, so he already had a large hand. And since we know Matt wants to draw to 18 or 20 cards, he gave himself a pretty good head start. Tom's going to go ahead and he's going to get 3PO with his parts showing out to Ray's site. And he's got the Boss Nash Chambers in play already. And he's going to drop a card and draw a card, and we'll see him start moving some stuff around. Yeah, no surprise there that Tom didn't really deploy anything turn one. He's going to want to be a little patient here. He won the first game by 17. He doesn't really need to push the issue. Matt's going to activate 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. One for him is 10. As Tom's activating 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Both players are using the 12 card start, 12 card hand start, so. Matt pulled Fanfare, went to look for an immediate effect, and let his opponent verify his deck. So we're going to take our time here with this game. Both players are obviously now, they know the differential count being 17. Definitely going to think things through. Matt's typically a pretty fast player, but even still at this stage of the game, he doesn't necessarily want to make a mistake. He's left himself quite a few force for next turn, so he will probably be deploying multiple things, perhaps in anticipation of Tom deploying something this turn. Tom's going to go ahead and he's going to get his remaining site out of his deck, the 2/2 location. Oh, look, and Robbie Hendon wants to chime in and let us know that possibly because of the lower Wi-Fi connection that we have, the program may actually be compressing the sound, which is why the sound is coming through at a lower volume than what we've had on prior streams. Thank you, Robbie, for that information. At the end of the tournament, that would have been helpful yesterday. I'm glad I didn't call you to ask you some technical questions. Oh, wait, I did call you to ask you technical questions, and you didn't answer your phone. I'm just busting chops. No worries. It's definitely a good point, though, and we appreciate Robbie for pointing that out. So that's something that we can look into with the technical aspects, make sure we don't have this problem again in the future. Whether it means we have to reduce the overall the visual quality a little bit to get a better audio quality, to kind of find the right balance for that. So we'll make notes of that. And obviously, there are a few things from this weekend that we do want to make sure we get a little better before our next major event. I'll talk a little about that. That's going to be U.S. Nationals coming up at the end of June. That'll be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, June 28th to the 30th, I believe. It's the last weekend in June. There's some information on that on the forums about that, and that should be another similar size event. About 30 players is what's expected to be there, and quite possibly, I would be surprised. I would be very surprised if Tom Kelly is not at that event, and I'd be fairly surprised to see Matt Sokol not at that event either. Tom's going to go ahead and he's going to deploy. It looks like that looks like Rey and Anakin aboard the Falcon there. Anakin's going to increase the maneuver to make it harder to shoot. Hark Seth is going to join aboard as a passenger to increase his activation. All right, I take that back. That wasn't Rey, that was Solo. Now I can see the two icons. So that's Solo and Anakin aboard. And now Rey's going to come down using the game text of the site to deploy her from the reserve deck. And Matt's going to barrier Rey. So Rey can't move over and get into the Falcon with everybody else. I don't know if Matt has any spies in his deck. Matt does have a spy in his deck. Matt has a U3PO in his deck. So I'll be curious to see if he is able to use that U3PO to get to that site and deploy several characters to battle Rey and kill both Rey and 3PO. That would limit some of Tom's deck manipulation. Another option would certainly be to go attack the Falcon before Rey can move over and get into it. depending on what Matt has in his giant 18 card, 20 card hand. That's a pile of characters. So he certainly has options. I didn't see U3PO there, so he just kind of thumbed through it a little bit. I did see Boba Fett and looks like Slave 1, and possibly Zuckuss and Mist Hunter as well. So he's got some space options, but the other benefit to Matt burying Rey is that Rey has to be at a battleground in order for the objective to flip the dark side objective to flip back. That's a 2-0 location. It's not a battleground, so the objective will remain on the 7 side. Tom's going to go ahead and make sure he prevents the beatdown, and he's going to move all of his characters off the Falcon and over 4, 5. So he's got 5 guys at that location now. The other card that Matt has in his deck that I don't know if Tom took into consideration is Program Trap. So if he had the U3PO and the Program Trap and could find a way to manipulate his deck and set up a 6 Destiny, he could certainly kill everybody. Matt's going to take a different approach, though. Matt's going to use, since he knows what the top card of his deck is, he went ahead and used an Ellis Hellrot to bring the Prince and Vigo over to Rey's encampment there. And so that's going to solve his spy issue using an Ellis. And now we'll see whether or not Matt drops multiple characters and perhaps with weapons and tries to hit and kill as many of Tom's characters as possible all in one turn here, now that they're all off the vehicle and exposed. He's got Zam, he's got Boba Fett, he's got a hidden weapons. He's got Dengar. Dengar could easily shoot Solo and Hark Seth, and he could hidden weapons Anakin, and yeah. Or he could shoot 3PO. So he could take out several of Tom's characters all in one turn here. We don't know if Tom has any force left. This deck typically doesn't run ground battle cancelers, so I would be shocked to see anything to avoid this battle. Matt's going to play Boba Fett, the New Cloud City Boba Fett, and the Dengar with Blaster. He's going to use Boba Fett's game text possibly to go get an interrupt when he gets around to that. Greg Shaw returning the pile of cards that I lent him. Thank you, Greg, for that. Always a good idea, kids, when you lend people cards at major events. Make sure you get them back before you go home for the weekend. Matt's also going to drop Guri there as well, so he's going to get more power. He's going to limit the light side to just 1 Destiny, because Solo adds a Destiny with Rey, so that's going to be limited to 1.
Dengar's about to do work.
Kyle just walks down the hallway and says, Dengar's about to go to work. Oh, and there's Zam as well. So, yeah, it's some people going to die. That's really what's going on there. Yeah, he's got the hidden weapons too, so several people are going to die. That was a pretty clutch barrier that he had. Oh, he's got a sense in hand already too. So even if he's going to battle, he's going to play the hidden weapons. Not quite sure who he's targeting. That's a 5. That's going to hit somebody. That's going to hit Rey. That's the safe bet there. Either hit or capture her, because he wants to make sure his objective stays flipped on the 7 side, and getting rid of Rey is the best way to do that. Take your chances while you can. Dengar shoots Now he's going to set for stun. He set for, or did. Oh, he drew a second Destiny trying to shoot, and it was a set for stun. And he draws the 4. So he's got quite a bit of power here. 5, 8, 14, 18, 22, 26. So Matt's probably going to lose like a Vigo or Zam. He doesn't have a loss. He doesn't have a force pile, so, or he's got a couple cards in his force pile, so he could lose Zam and go upload a card. Oh no, that's his reserve deck. So yes, he's got no force pile left. So I don't know that losing Zam really. I mean, it's a coward. It's a character. Yeah, he'll lose Zam. Doesn't really get the benefit of the additional text, but still better safe than sorry. Yeah, so Matt accomplished exactly what he needed to. He's going to clear out quite a few of Tom's characters in this battle. Ray's hit, 3PO's hit. They're going to die. So Tom went ahead and lost Anakin as well to cover the additional attrition and battle damage there. It's going to leave him with Solo and Hark Seth. Tom's gonna, Matt's gonna have still has a pile of guys there. Tom's just verifying his deck. Going to search for some cards. Matt's going to verify that it wasn't in there. We're going to get a Don't Tread on Me. 1 force to go get an effect from reserve deck. He'll get an Unita. Deploy that. Take the top character or top card of his lost pile into hand, which is probably a character. It's probably Ray. You probably would have lost him in that order to keep her on top. So that make it easier to retrieve her. I think this deck runs 2 Ray, or I've seen deck lists where they run 2 Rays. I don't know if that's particularly what Tom's playing today, but most of them run two copies of Ray. And since she is such a key character of the deck. He's going to deploy that. He's going to take a card back into hand. Robbie just pointed out it might be another bandwidth issues. So just for poops and giggles, let's find out if this does any better if I just turn that off. See if that increases our performance. I don't think you guys really need to sit here and look at me. I mean, I'm a handsome devil, but I don't know that you guys necessarily need to be staring at my face the entire time. We'll see if it improves the bandwidth or the audio quality at all by having less things running. If nothing else, to be a good learning experience for next time. Tom's going to deploy Ray back to the encampment, along with putting 2 characters on board the Falcon there. All right, well, it seems like that may have helped things a little bit, but not quite to the level I was hoping for. Tom's going to go ahead and move Ray and Solo and everybody over. We'll possibly see him flips the objective back, and then we'll possibly see him shift some people around. It was Wedge, and that was Chewie who were in there. Now he's going to jockey some people around. We'll probably see Ray gets in the Falcon with Chewie. That's going to add to the maneuver a little bit, make that harder to hit. And then Harkseth, the Solo, and Wedge, Red Squadron leader, will be hanging out outside. We'll see. Another possibility, too, is Matt may have a second copy of Ellis, but right now he's only got 1 card in his lost pile, so and not a whole lot on the table. So he still has plenty of force left to work with to keep himself above that 17 line that he needs to win this game by. And Tom's going to try and do the opposite. Tom's going to try and avoid taking large portions of battle damage. By flipping Matt back, he limits Matt's ability to manipulate his deck, or at least see where all the cards are, so he knows what to draw for and what his destinies will be during the battle phase. Matt's going to verify his deck, looking for probably a Coruscant site. Just to see what he's got in there to work with. And we did see the U3PO on top. So we will not be seeing a U3PO come down there are other droids in Matt's deck that he could possibly use to run a program trap off of if he wanted to. That would kill several of Tom's characters who are outside of the Falcon right now. And Matt is just going to draw some cards. He's going to leave the pile of guys right where they are, and he's going to draw some cards. So whether he's looking for the Ellis to move the whole group over, he might be looking for the two cold suns down combo so we can shoot the Falcon. He may be looking for an Emperor so he can pull off a sense, because right now the highest ability guy's got on the table is a 3. So if he's going to try and set up that sun's down, and he's afraid of Tom having the Canceller interrupt to move it, he might be looking for an Emperor to make sure he can actually complete that sense draw. The consolation tournament is just finishing up game number 4. We're trying to get an update on the standings for that after 4 games and see how that's going along. See who's sitting at the top tables there. Like I said, they started with 14 players, and I know we've had a couple drops already for people heading home or heading to catch flights. They'll probably finish with 9 or 10. All right, Tom's going to go ahead and he's going to deploy home 1 to Jakku. That'll get him around battle order. Well, battle plan, because Tom played his shield. The Admiral's order will also help out limiting Matt to 1 destiny as well. Not that Matt has really got too many ways to add destinies. IG-88 isn't Ig with Riot Gun is in the deck. He can add a destiny with the Bounty Hunter, of which there's several. But I think that's it. I think he's playing the new Boba Fett as opposed to the Boba Fett Bounty Hunter. That's an Akbar. No real surprise there. We expected to be seeing him. Anytime you see a home 1, you pretty much expect to see Admiral Akbar coming right down behind it. there is that Emperor that we were talking about. Uh, Tom moved everybody away over to the 2-2 location to help protect and get further away from Matt. Matt's going to go ahead and he's going to play Ellis to try and move the party across over to the 2-2. Oh, actually, maybe he's not going to play it. Looks like he's looking for a Force Lightning or something first. So his destinies are kind of all over the place. Not great, but not terrible. All right, so there's the Ellis that we just saw. It's going to cost him 4. He's going to move everybody on over to that site there. Tom's going to go ahead and grab the Ellis the second time around. There's the sun's down, too cold for speeders, which he's going to try and move and retarget using, I have a bad feeling about this, but we know Matt's got the sense. First, Matt's going to grab it, and then he's going to sense it. And there's the control. Matt does not have the second sense, so as we did discuss earlier, the possibility of Tom having the control tunnel vision and saving it to cancel the sense. Looks like that's exactly what happened there. So that was the card that that Tom used to retarget to move. The sun's down, too cold for speeders over to Coruscant. Matt's gonna have to try and go to Plan B here. Plan B apparently is Greedo, just another bounty hunter with good forfeit. Add a little more power. He'll go ahead and initiate battle. He's got some guys. Finn's going to get deployed as a react. Matt's going to use Boba Fett's text, which I don't think he's used yet. Looks like he took another Ellis. He already had the hidden weapons. Alright, so he's going to hidden weapon somebody. That's a 4. That'll make a character hit. So that was Solo. That was Solo who just got hit there. Now Dengar's going to shoot. Dengar's going to hit Harksef. Dengar's going to shoot again. That will be a miss. Tom may use his objective to subtract 2. I forget, Bannis Key is a Destiny 2 or Destiny 3. Whether, no. Now he's using the objective to subtract from the battle Destiny. Alright, so that was, so Bannis Key must be a Destiny 2. And Tom will draw a 4. Matt still probably has more power. 5, 8. And Guri is 6, is 14. And Dengar's 18. And Greedo's 3, I believe, is 21. Plus Boba Fett for another 4 is 25. And 1 would be 26. So Tom's going to lose a bunch of guys there. Tom's going to lose all the guys outside. Wedge is going to go And Wedge is coming back. Yeah, both guys weren't forfeit 0. The hidden weapons just hits the character, doesn't make him forfeit 0. So Tom had 9, 12, 16, 18, and a destiny draw, which was a 4, so it's 22. So yeah, so it wasn't that much damage. Solo covered it, so Wedge gets to live and stick around a little longer. He'll do a drain of 1 at the system. Tom will. And we'll see the Slave 1 Symbol of Fear being lost by Matt. Boba's already on the ground, so not really a ship he's likely to end up deploying. And here comes a Rogue 3. And we'll see which pilot ends up in there. Oh, that's going to be Horn going down on Rogue 3, it looks like. So now Wedge will be able to cancel a Destiny. And all those guys are going to move away to where the Emperor is. That will give Matt a drain of 2. He'll have to pay for it, but I'll let him at least cause Tom a little more force loss if he wants to pay. We'll see what Matt might have in his hand here. We know he's got the second Ellis, so he could pay and move the whole party over again. But the speeder's going to be tough to hit, with it being Destiny 6. And Matt's Destiny in there is fairly low. His only effort would be to just outpower it, but he's going to have to outpower everything without a Battle Destiny draw. Doesn't have the Dark Time to prevent it from being canceled, because that's still floating around in his deck. So Matt's going to move the Emperor over. Then he's going to start drawing cards. He's going to play a copy of They're Still Coming Through to peek at a card and then move it to the bottom. I'll save that for later. There's a Cold Feet he'll use to play a defensive shield. He's just really trying to cycle some High Destiny interrupts back, keep cards out of his hand that he doesn't need, that aren't really going to help him right now. And do everything he can to keep every card in his life force that he can. It's hard to tell. Tom may have all 4 shields out already. He's got Do or Do Not and Wise Advice and a Grabber, and I'm pretty sure he played Battle Plan earlier, so he's got all 4 shields out. So he does not have the ability right now, anyway, to go get I Must Be Allowed or the Simple Tricks and Nonsense shield that would cancel that drain where the Emperor is at Ray's encampment. So that would explain a lot about Matt moving away. Matt only has the 1 battleground, so if Tom did have the ability to play another shield or has an interrupt like Hear Me Baby, or I think this deck actually runs perimeter scan to help stop the Blizzard 4 pull and the maintenance cards, but it also does get the defensive shield. Now he'll go ahead and he'll drain for 1 and 1. Matt will lose an Emperor and another Prince. Again, just both players being cautious at this point. They're starting to get closer to that magic number of 17. Matt's trying to stay above, and Tom's trying to get him below. Tom's going to go ahead and add a Lieutenant Blount as a pilot aboard. Home 1. Lieutenant Blount is the anti-ISB operations card. It was a deck people expected to see a bit more of, was ISB operations. I think only 2 or 3 people played it yesterday to varying results. And Finn's going to go ahead and get shuttled up. He's going to get off of the Falcon. He's going to get shuttled up. Just in case Matt does want to come to Jakku to try and contest that a little bit. Tom's going to try and protect himself there even further. All right, Matt's going to activate just over 13, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 force. Yeah. He's going to use the Emperor to look for a Force Lightning. He's got 3 characters his Destiny draws. He's showing Tom a thermal detonator. He's going to pay 3 and he's going to drain at the 2/2 location there. He's going to use the old allies, I guess, to reduce it to 1. And we're going to get that's a ship over there with the pilot at Coruscant. That's going to convert that into a battleground system, and now he's going to put Cad Bane down at the 2/1 location. So looks like Matt's just trying to maximize his damage here now. He's trying to avoid paying a drain by getting the system. I think that's probably Ellison Hinthra and Banis Keeg. There's a Vigo as well to back up Cad Bane, so he's not completely exposed. Matt's just going to try to see if he can turn up the heat a little bit. Get multiple sources of damage here on Tom. So right now he's threatening the possibility of drains of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he's only taking damage back of 2. He's got quite a few cards in hand, so he can afford to lose from hand for a little while. And I think we just saw the U-3PO flash by, so that would be a way to further reduce that damage. Also, to the best of my knowledge, I believe Jakku is at Parsec 4, which means the home 1 can't move over there. Yeah, Jakku's at Parsec 4. So Jakku can't, the home 1 can't move over to Coruscant. And with the Falcon on the ground and home 1 in space, I don't know that Tom really has any other ship options available to him. So that ship's going to be pretty safe over there at Coruscant. And certainly something I'm sure Matt was trying to piece together a little earlier. Once the home 1 hit the table, to get that out and to get some force draining going and keeping it for free. But needed those pilots on the ground to do battles, having to put Fett on the ground instead of in his ship and use the hidden weapons and those kinds of things. And so we've now got a Hark Seth number 2 coming down in Rogue One with a Poe Dameron. I don't know if they are at the 2/1 location or if they're going in front of the Emperor. But certainly very possible that they're going in front of the Emperor. That would be 8 power and 2 destiny, which would be pretty strong. Major Hashin's going to go aboard home 1. He'll help protect against the lateral damage, which I'm pretty sure Matt's not playing. But if Tom gets kicked out of space, then this game would be over a lot faster. It also gives him some more forfeit, gives him the ability to move some shuttles, some more people around. Having Hashin up there, Hashin doesn't do much on the ground, so having him aboard home 1 gives him the ability to use other guys elsewhere. Does Hashin add 1 to hyperspeed? That may be the other thing, the other benefit of putting him there. And we'll shift some people around. Looks like he's going to move. Oh, he also put down Dash and Rogue 10 with the Rogue 1 pile. And then he's going to move the other pile of guys aboard the Falcon to and the Rogue 3 over in front of Matt's characters. I just want to check real quick just to confirm if Hashin must. I can't imagine that these guys would have missed something like that it can't move. Star Cruiser adds 1 to hyperspeed and armor and cancels lateral damage. So there you go. So clever play by Tom, using Hashin to move over to Coruscant. See Matt fumbling through his hand there. And he's going to deploy the U-3PO. Pretty sure we saw Corran Horn earlier as one of the pilots aboard that speeder. So I don't know that U-3PO is going to stick around there for too long. He'll move the ship away back to Jakku and move his guys on the ground over to block the drain, and then he's going to split up the guys on Coruscant, knowing that Tom can't have too many characters left to deploy. Cad Bane draws by himself anyway, and Vigo's got a pretty decent forfeit. Tom's going to leadership to take an admiral or general into hand, and he's going to grab General Calrissian. So he does have at least one character left. See Tom's hand there. He's got 5 or 6 cards together that he's tapping down. Trying to figure out what he can do to cause enough force damage. Looks like he's putting a bunch of cards back at the end of Matt's turn. And Tilly's maneuver and an inconsequential barriers. Trying to put some high destiny cards together. So we might see him actually battle at the 2-1 site. He'll do some force draining. He'll drain for Coruscant. There goes another copy of Dengar. Tom is going to use his Boss Nash Chamber once per game text just to, again, look through his deck. Fortunately, because of where Tom keeps his cards, we can't see exactly what he's looking through. But I'm sure he's just checking other destinies. We knew he had he put 5-4-4 back together near the bottom of his deck. So whether he wants to shuffle those around into a particular order or just double check and see what else he's got. General Calrissian's going to go for 4 force in front of the Vigo. Matt doesn't seem to care or mind about him. And it does look like he's holding a barrier. She just moves to the front of his hand. And he is going to go ahead and barrier, which Tom is going to cancel with a second copy of Inconsequential Barriers. We just saw him put the first one back, last turn. Matt will use his non-barrier barrier and play Zizor's Bounty. It's one of the new cards from VSET 6. Let's update that on the stream for people who might not be familiar with what that card does. That will prevent Lando from battling. Tom went ahead and shuttled Lando up because unlike Barrier, the Bounty card does not prevent the character from moving, it prevents him from battling. And then he moves the home one over. And now Tom will move his Falcon over with the rest of his guys. And then he'll move Rogue. No, actually, he's not moving the Falcon. He's going to make sure he uses Horn to break his Undercover Spy's game text first. And then move everybody over. Tom's got some small drains here. Looks like he can do 1, 2, 3 damage. But Tom's got a pile of Matt's got a couple of small drains. Tom's got a pile of guys in front of him at both Jakku sites. We've checked his destinies. Matt's got a 5 and a 3 there, but I guess we'll have to see what's left in his hand that he can do much with. Tom will go ahead and reduce the drain of 2 down to a drain of 1, and then he'll get hit for 1 and 1 at each of the Coruscant sites. Well, looks like they've coming up on just over an hour they've been playing this game, which means they still have about a half hour left before the time limit. But I don't think we're in a position where this is going to go to time. Matt will move his ship away. Matt will move his pile of guys away. Unfortunately for Matt, I just don't think he's doing enough damage fast enough to Tom to get below that 17 count. I think they're kind of trading the same amount of damage right now. With Tom got drains of 1 and 1 at Jakku, unless there's a launch in the assault under there, in which case it would be a drain of 2 and 1 um, with home 1. And each turn that they continue to trade force damage like this favors Tom to win the match and the championship. Tom was actually the only player from last year's top 8, I believe, who made this year's top 8. There's a drain of 2 and a drain of 1. And there's that second sense that Matt really needed to have earlier in the game. But yeah, looking over at last year's top 8 and thinking about it, several of those players were unable to attend the event this year. And I'm doing the commentary this year instead of playing. But Tom was in the top 8 last year and had some very good games. And turned around and made it back to the finals. Last year's championship was decided between Brian Fred and Johnny Chu. So it's nice that we'll have 2 additional players playing the final, 2 different players in the finals this year. And 2 great players who have been playing at a very high level for a very long period of time. As mentioned earlier, Tom Kelly's the 2016 Player of the Year. Made the top 8 of every tournament he played in last year. And I can't remember the last time Tom missed the top 8 cut, to be honest. So Tom's going to go ahead and just continue to just shift everybody around, and he's just content to just spend his force, move his guys, drain for 1, and just continue to cause force loss to Matt. To get Matt down below that 17. Which it looks like, looking at his force pile, Matt may very well be at right now. So I'm sure they're playing the game out a little bit further. He'll use the objective and reduce that to 1, then go to 1 and 1. Matt's got P59. He's got Jasper, but I don't know that he doesn't have really any high destiny cards left that he can shoot anything with without the 2 cold for speeders. Yeah. So he'll go ahead and he'll move after deploying them. And now he's not going to run away from him this time around. And he's going to hang out in front of that Falcon. Matt's down to 5 cards in hand, so when he takes the couple of force loss here, he's either going to have to top deck a few, or he's going to start pitching at Zuckus, perhaps the Gick that he's been holding on to for quite some time. comes some force loss. Tom will do his draining in his control phase. There goes Zuckuss and Jasper. And one more at the ground site. Probably going to throw away the Force Lightning. And yep, he throws away the Force Lightning. It's not really going to do him much good now that all Tom's guys are safely tucked inside speeders. Yep. I think Matt's doing a quick count here and realizing that the rate this game's going, he's not going to get Tom above 17. So this one maybe in the books pretty soon. Yeah, there he goes. That's his handshake. And Tom Kelly is your 2017 Endor Grand Prix champion. So I'm sure we'll probably do some interviews with the players real quick over on Facebook Live, so be sure and check that out in just a minute. Thank you guys very much for listening to the streams. Had a great time doing it, and we'll certainly work on some of the technical issues to make this an even better experience for future events. But overall, it was a great opportunity for me and for the Players Committee. I'm very thankful to them for letting me come out and do this, and had a great time doing it, and hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. So everybody take care. We're going to sign off the podcast or the streaming here now, and check out the Facebook PC page for some streaming video from Chris Schoenthal with the top two.